Hello. Today I'm going to be making a guide on the Escapologist. I've gotten the impression that a lot of people have been struggling with how his skills work. In my opinion, I think he's a pretty strong character and he has meta potential, but he's really difficult to use since his skills require a lot of mind games and whatnot. So I just want to showcase how I use him. So the first thing we need to talk about when discussing Efron is that he is labeled as an assist survivor, but I don't think this is the case really. I would label him more as a restrained survivor. His main ability is the Smokescreen. Something important to keep in mind is that you should see it as less of a kiting tool and more of an escaping tool. He has this passive called Escape Act. Basically, he can transfer a survivor to another rocket chair within 5 seconds after that survivor is placed on the rocket chair. This, I would say, is mainly where his assist component comes from. This ability is sort of a game sense thing, but I would recommend using this to make it easier on whoever's going for the rescue. For instance, if someone gets chaired in the corner, it's a good idea to move them to a rocket chair that's more closer to the middle of the map. That way, it's easier for the rescuer to be able to get in from any angle and get the rescue without being stuffed. He also has this passive, Misdirection, which really helps him with the rescue aspects of things, because the first time he takes damage that is equal to or greater than a normal attack, he basically dodges the attack. It's a free flywheel. And he can use this as an anti-terror shock when he goes for rocket chair saves. Something critical to keep in mind though is that it only really works if you're like right next to the rocket chair, because if you try to do the dodge and from a distance and get close to the chair, you often won't have enough time to do another rescue. But if you're standing right next to the chair and you use Misdirection, you can pretty much always secure the rescue. My preferred persona build with Efron is Tide Turner and Borrowed Time for the rescue aspect of his kit, but you can also use him with Flywheel if you wish. Let's talk about Escapologist's first skill, the Smokescreen. When you are preparing to throw the Smokescreen, you will see a ring on the ground. The outer edge of this ring is like a barrier. You can't see what's on the other side of the barrier. Escapologists should use this to their advantage by staying on the opposite side of the barrier from the hunter, so therefore the hunter cannot see them. However, doing this alone in an open area doesn't leave much room for mind games, because if you just throw this down and the hunter's like right behind you, they can follow you inside of the fog zone and track where you are inside of the fog. I recommend that when you throw the fog zone, you try to get pallets inside of the ring. This way, when you run to the other side, the hunter cannot see you, and they don't know what your next move is. You could have ran ahead, or you could have stayed here to throw down the pallet. They don't know what you could have done. At the same time, for pallets like this one, it is normally expected that the survivor runs right around this pallet, runs to the right. But you could do something like this, run to the left instead, and really throw the hunter for a loop, because now they don't know which way you went. By the way, about the fog zone, when you throw it down and you enter inside, you are within the fog zone. There's a little icon in the top left to show this. And when you're inside the fog zone, you leave no footprints. However, if you leave the fog zone, there's a timer that starts in the top left, and when that timer reaches 0, your location is revealed. It's both a cipher machine failure, like calibration thing, and also your aura is revealed. However, you can cancel this by going back inside of the fog. There is a potential strategy to do with this. You throw the fog around big objects in the environment, like these boxes for example. You can do something like run outside, run back in, and hide right here on the outer edge of the fog area. In a spot like this, it is extremely difficult for the hunter to find you because the fog is so thick. You basically have to be standing like right here next to the Escapologist in order to see him within the fog. Here is another important thing to note in regards to Efron's escape act skill. So when the survivor is placed on the rocket chair, there's only 5 seconds in which you can transfer that survivor to another rocket chair. When that survivor is being transferred to another rocket chair, the timer is paused for 4 seconds, and then for 6 seconds after they are transferred, you cannot rescue them. Here's an example on how you can use Misdirection to pull off an anti-terror shock rescue. Make sure that when you use Misdirection, you are always facing the direction you want to go.
Hmm.